still locking in with that generational wealth, and
Mhm.
so um, you're on the mindset change. Starting. So how old is your son?
9.
9.
Mhm.
So what type of things have you intentionally like pouring into him and really trying to start this whole generational
Yeah.
wealth?
I think, like you said, just making sure he has the structure at home. He's lucky enough to have both parents that are entrepreneurs and interested in his overall growth. So he's joined both of us in our at work and see what we do, and he's been exposed to a lot of things, and more so, at least for me, I can't speak on his dad. I don't want to force this to him. I want him to be exposed to what I do. I want him to know what his mom does and how his mom makes money, but I don't want to force it on him because regardless, I want him to be happy. Like, I'm gonna set the financial foundation. That's gonna set the financial foundation, but I still want him to live in a fulfilled life. So expose him of what his options are.
All right. And how do you think he's receiving that right
At 9, he's like, all right, cool. Where's my iPad? But he still has way more exposure than I ever had at his age, you know? Like, being able to see this is, I think it's immeasurable.
now? Yeah, I agree because when we talk about generational wealth, one thing I really think you have to do is you really have to take yourself out of it. You really have to focus all your energy on whoever is going to be the turn for that family, for
Yeah.
that generation, And so for me, it's my son.
Right.
And so although I know within my lifetime, with the things I'm doing, like my life is probably going to change, my wife, close friends, family, but that's just kind of gonna be a bonus because I'm really doing all this to really put my son
Right.
into
Yeah.
position to
Yeah.
be that person. Like when we look at the Jackson family history, like McCoy
He
did
did.
boom, 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 and I have to take myself out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And and even though that's my kid, like some people still not selfless enough to do that. Like people still like wanna be.
You want the shine, the
You
praise.
still want all the shine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's super fun. He's 2, and we be talking business, and he's about to start dropping some things this year before his 3rd birthday, as far as his entrepreneur journey, and so his whole, I ain't gonna say his existence, but it's kind of like an experiment within the business. I'm doing some things, and I tell people, and they're like, "Man, you the only person I know." So I incorporated my son when he was born, and so he had an EIN before he had a Social Security number.
Okay.
And actually, like when he was filling out the birth certificate paperwork, I declined for him to get a Social Security card, but it still came anyway.
Okay.
So like if that's another conversation.
Uh-huh.
Like
I'm interested in
that conspiracy theory type stuff with social all that good stuff.
Okay.
But say all that to say, so he's McCoy Jackson Incorporated. So he's been established since 2020. So just small stuff like that, you already have that business. So when we're talking about building credit history, you're gonna have that time for that business credit history. You're gonna have that EIN that's gonna be in existence for a long time. Then when you get a little bit older, we can start putting them on our credit cards, on our debit cards and things like that. So now you're getting that personal credit history to go along with the business. And so really by the time that you're 18,
you're ready to go.
Man, you probably really ready to go. Yeah. And so I've kind of tried that with one of my other cousins. Like I did some things for her, and she was able to get approved for a $230,000 mortgage for her first house at 22, straight out of high school. I mean, straight out of college. I mean, she majored in biochemical
Oh, so she
engineering.
good.
And, you know, so I
She
can't,
got money.
I can't say she ain't get a good job
Right.
out the gate, but you still gotta have credit,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, to be
Absolutely.
able to get approved for so much. And so I'm like, okay, well that's one victory. So now I'm like, if I started there when she was 17,
Right.
I
What can
start
you do it
like,
too?
so
Or
now it's
figure out-
like, man, you know, it's
Yeah.
kind of sky's the limit, and so
Mhm.
it's still an experiment. And so I try to keep people abreast of it, but it's like,
Yeah.
follow it because I'm still learning.
Right,
So
right.
I ain't
You
trying
think
to,
that this is gonna go?
I
this
ain't trying to keep it from you, but
Mhm.
I ain't really out here preaching
You
the
can't
gospel
guarantee it.
because I don't know. I'm in
Yeah.
uncharted
But no,
territory.
it sounds so. And when you talk about generational wealth, I'm talking exclusively about my son, but I have 5 nieces, probably more than you know. But I have nieces and nephews that
Mhm.
I'm very involved with, and so I've done somewhat of those things. Adding this to my credit cards, trying to teach them personal finance. Just one on one, and wanting actually getting them engaged in my business because I'm like, this doesn't. My son's name is on my GRF. It's my son's initials.
Okay.
This is gonna be his business, but that doesn't mean that you can't have a stake in it. It doesn't mean that you can't open an office. Like you can be, if this is where you want to go, you don't have to worry about interviewing for whatever. Let's do some nepotism. Let's get you started on a path.
Do you have any like mutual funds or anything for like your niece and nephews? Have you gone that far to do
I
anything
have
like
not.
that?
I have not.
What about for your son?
He has. Oh God, his dad set it up so that I know I'm the finance person, but I was. But we do have a trust in his name, and that we are putting money in it. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't give you the details. I don't know the details.
I mean, so okay.
But he has some financial.
Yeah, so trust is a very important part of the generational wealth component. That's a new thing. Trust and holding company. So we ain't gonna get into everything, but just you hear this, just Google it. So Google family trust, Google holding company. So I just want you to be familiar with this.
Right.
Saying this vocabulary when we're talking about this thing. So now we kind of gone down the generational wealth thing, what it is, shifting the mindset and all those good things. And so now I want to focus on group economics.
Okay. Now you're gonna have to define this for me. I feel like I know, but you're gonna have to. Yeah.
Well, you tell me what you think it is.
So,
finance lady.
For me, group economics is that kind of similar to what you're doing is, and I could be wrong, but putting others like you in a space to generate money and retain money within that group. So I'm your accounting person, you're my lawyer, you're my, all this. So we keep money generated within our group.
So essentially, that's what it is, and more specifically, like it's basically like for race, right?
Yeah.
And so black folks spending money with black folks.
Right.
The Jewish community is spending, the Hispanic community is spending. So us as a people, African Americans, we are historically known for not spending money with our people, not putting our dollars back into our communities. And since now the word and the thing is generational wealth, but like, okay, you really have to have that group economics component because if you're making this money, but where are you putting it into? And then who's pouring it back into you?
Absolutely.
I
would say I think that one of my biggest, the biggest positives to my business is that people are actively looking for black CPAs. They're actively looking for black women CPAs. So that makes me, kind of top of list for a lot of people. Not everybody, right? But I'm saying in my specific group, they want someone that not only looks like them, but can relate to them, that can talk to them. I had a client the other day call me. She was looking for to be a retainer client. I hadn't signed her yet, so I'm not going to call her one of my clients. But she was like, she talked to this person. He was a white male. And she said she left the meeting feeling so defeated, feeling like she just, didn't know anything. Like, this is a lady that makes a lot of money, but she blew up quicker than she could, get her things together. So she's behind. And she needs someone, she's looking to spend the money to get all her stuff fixed, but the guy made her feel so bad. She's like, nah, I gotta find someone that looks like me, that can talk my language, that can understand my mindset. And so she reached out to me.
I think that's dope. And I do think that we are doing a better job of supporting black business to a certain extent. Now, I do want to, make the argument like we really have to change the concept of what support looks like.
Okay.
And I guess I'll get into that before. So I'll tell you this example. I have a friend who has a moving company, right? And I had another friend of mine who called and said, "Hey, he got a moving company, right?" Like, yes. He's like, "Give me his number." So I shot my friend like his booking information. Like, he got a website, you can go on there, you can book, you can do all this because you need some moving service.
Right.
That's what you need.
Yeah.
And so I send you the way to get the moving service. And my friend was like, "Man, what the hell is this?" I was like, "This how you book it."
Right.
Oh, never mind. Word. And so to me, like, that group economics and then specifically supporting black owned business, to me it's like, if I need some goods or services anyway,
I'm gonna spend the money anyway.
I'm gonna spend the money anyway. Yes, I want the best deal I can get, but sometimes stuff just costs what it costs.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you have to spend a little bit more because of just different economic factors. Now, I say, like, to give maybe an example that people can understand, like liquor store. I used to work at a couple of different liquor stores.
What have you not done?
It's a couple things. But so prices will vary based on the locations of Memphis.
Yes.
And so, like Hennessy, that's a big thing. And so in one part of town, Hennessy would be more expensive or cheaper at this one particular store, and people would think, well, they trying to charge black people more, but really it's like when you buy alcohol, the more you buy of a specific unit, the cheaper it is, and so if I am a store and I'm buying 100 cases of Hennessy, well, my prices is essentially going to be cheaper. That way my retail price is going to be a few dollars cheaper because I've saved on both.
Correct.
Whereas I really don't sell that much Hennessy in my area, and I only buy a couple of cases. It just look like I'm high.
Right.
But in actuality, that's just what the market is for me and where I'm at right now.
I actually read an article about that, and I want to say restaurants and the food costs for restaurants of larger corporations versus these mom and pops, and sometimes that includes black restaurants, is that they will often team up to purchase in bulk and therefore get cheaper prices, where we don't have that unity or the availability, because it might not just be unity, it be availability. So our costs are more.
Yeah. So that happened before. I can't give this story. I don't know if it's still a thing, but more than a few years ago now, Billy Richmond, Wing Guru.
Okay.
So his family is Dun Dun's Hot Wings.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
So they had that, and actually when he first came out, he was Dun Dun's Junior.
Okay.
And Billy, he came out the gate, he was spending money for advertising. I thought, like, when he first started, he was spending up to like $15,000 a month in advertising, but it done paid off. Like, you really,
everybody know what Wing Guru is.
Right. You gotta know what you're doing. But I say that to say, like, the reason why he changed to Wing Guru because he was Dun Dun's Junior, and he paying for all this advertisement, and people just know Dun Dun.
Right,
they're paying no attention to the Junior, and so like his folks didn't want to like throw him no money. He like or whatever. But I say this to say, despite that, he did get together with some Don Don and some Dixie Queen folks and some whatever, and they formed a conglomerate to basically tell like this regional distributor, hey,
I need better costs.
If it ain't like you either gonna sell it at this or all these 16 businesses gonna do something else. And that worked out. So I don't know how long that went on, but I do know like that was an example of black folks getting together and really doing something to push, I guess, the culture forward at that point in time.
And that's awesome. That's what it should be. I feel like I was thinking about this yesterday. Some people still treat me as if they're doing me a favor by supporting my business. I'm a service. Like you said, you're gonna get the service anywhere. You're not doing me a favor by being my client. Maybe when I first started and I just needed somebody to, like, come on with me because I need some clients. But I'm okay with clients. I'm not saying that I don't care about each and every one of my clients, and having another client would not be great and impactful for me, but you're not doing me a favor. We are mutually benefiting from this agreement.
Mm-hmm.
So I need you to sign up like anybody else signed up. I need you to be treated, and you treat me like a service provider, and I treat you like any other client. Because this is not a favor. This is a business. So I think people really gotta shift their mindset. They're like, oh, I'm doing a favor.
So how does a person trying to get accounting services think you're doing them a favor? Like, how does? Because I know what you're talking about, like, but I'm just trying to, like, specifically for this type of business. Like, how can I come at you like you helping me out?
I mean, it's like anybody, like, oh yeah, or you pricey. Okay, well, this is not a mom and dad shop. I have overhead. I have to charge what I'm worth. So if it's not working for you, then you gotta go somewhere else, and then you're probably not gonna get the prices that you're getting here. So yeah, I've definitely. Oh, somebody reached out to me the other day and was like, hey, can you look over my tax return for me? I was like, no, that's not what I do. I don't look over what you've done, but this is how you book my services. And she was like, okay, go ahead, send me the form. And very similar to you, I sent her every link like I sent everybody else, and I have not heard back from her.
It be like that.
Yeah.
And especially, it's gonna get on a little bit of a tangent, but because it is tax season, and tax clients, they're so funny, and like it's our fault. Like we condition them to think just because you're getting your taxes done, like you finna get a whole bunch of money back, no matter how much money you made, how much taxes you done paid into, and you think you're getting a refund, and you think that your refund should like pay for your tax prep,
right?
And it don't always work like that, And I still, I don't have my office anymore, but I still service a few clients. And like just as recently as like last week, I had a person who I've done their stuff off and on before over the last few years, and they came, shot me their stuff, and I do it, and I'm like, all right, this is where I got you, boom, 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 this is where you at, but really, the person was gonna owe. You know what I'm saying? So I, hey, what you do? Yeah, you took this course, did all my due diligence, razzle dazzle. You go from owing, about 2,500 to gonna get back like 150.
Yeah.
But shit, like, you owe me $300.
Absolutely. And that's cheap.
Like, it's neat, but you like confused. You like, well, I'm like, man, I don't want your little one. She's like, take it out there. I'm like, I don't want your little one. You know what I'm saying? That's your. But like, if you now, I can just send you all your shit, and you can, you ain't gonna know how to.
Right.
I tell you, like, you supposed to get back 152. You don't know how you finna get to that 152. But you know what I'm saying? If you. Yeah. And it's it's crazy. Like even with inflation super high and all this, like folks still be tripping.
I think it's two things. One, that's not really my market. Right. I try not to engage with individuals that are very like refund sensitive. Like I want, if you're gonna be my client, again gotta be mutually beneficial. I want you to learn where you're supposed to be. I want you to learn how to best strategize to get the best tax savings, not the biggest refund. And two is that, gosh, what was I gonna say? People pay a lot more than $300 very, very easily. The thing is that because they're not being disclosed how much they're paying, right? These not honest individuals that are doing taxes, they just take $2,000, $1,500 out your tax return, but you're getting $8,000 where you probably shouldn't be getting $8,000.
Now, I agree to that to a certain extent. Oftentimes, and we created this problem. More money taxes, God rest their soul. They came in.
I think those individuals are still living though.
I say more money taxes to the company, God rest their soul. But now a couple of them folks not with us no more. But I say like they really changed the game. They really could have changed the game in a positive way.
Right.
But we just got a little bit too. Well, ain't a little bit. We just got too greedy with it, and they blew up too fast, and they shared their secret sauce with too many people too fast as well. But I say all this to say, you do have these folks who um, take advantage of people.
Right.
But like sometimes you're really not taking advantage of them. They just forget. And I say this. So I worked for a company to where we would do a Christmas loan, right? And so as you know, like technically, I really can't do your taxes in December because
Right.
I can't.
Right. It's not a
It's
final
not open,
forms. Yeah.
and ain't nobody send no W-2s
Correct.
out. So we using the last check
Check
stub,
stub.
whatever. And so we do this Christmas loan. So it's like before Christmas. So we would open our office, say, like the 16th or something like that, and we would do these Christmas loans, anywhere from $300 to $800 based on the estimate.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying,
Yes.
on that. And so that's a loan against your return that
Right.
we're supposed to be filing. And so loans come interest. So I might give you $800, but you might finna pay $1,000 back.
Right.
When you get your return,
Right.
And so that's in December.
Right. So I'm not talking. Although I don't offer that because again, that's not the clients I serve, and I don't think that's a good financial decision for the individual to make. Not for the business, but for the individuals, that's not a good financial decision. But so whatever. But I'm talking about people have literally, I've seen it with my own, like when I asked for past returns, like people like, oh, do you know how much you spent on tax prep last year? Oh no, I don't remember. What the lady said. For this very simple that you're paying me $300 for, you paid $1,500 for it.
Yeah. But most of that is because of the lack of education and just the way we been conditioned. Because even with that, like even when I was trying to shift people away from that, and that's kind of the reason why I got out and I started doing more business returns and just a couple of personal. It's because like people didn't want to grow. Like at one point in time, like I had a rep from regions come in my office, like they there. You can sign up for a bank account right now, and the refund gonna go. They wasn't trying to do that. I had one point, Wells Fargo was cashing. They was gonna cash all tax checks for $10, regardless of how, just $10 flat fee. But they was gonna have it was gonna be a 3 to 7 day hold on.
Right.
And so our people, we don't be wanting to wait.
Right.
And so
they go to the street.
Yeah, you go to the liquor store.
$150.
No, so people got sometimes more than that. People got this guy, Jumpin' Jimmy, God rest his soul. He owned 4 liquor stores.
Okay.
This man told me 4 liquor stores. On the average year, he cashed $60 million worth of checks. On a good year, he did over $100 million worth of checks. And he was charging up to 7%
of the value
to
of the
cash checks. So he was making like $5 million a year just cashing checks because people don't have bank account. Now I can't get mad at him because Ace do the same thing.
That's true.
And it's like,
that's true.
I can't get mad because these places exist because like I done said, like we just don't. I'd rather go to the liquor store and pay $200, $300, $400, $500 to get this money today, as opposed to waiting a little minute and getting all my money.
Yeah.
And that was crazy to me. But it's like, if I can't change that, like if am I wrong for
capitalizing off
of that now? Like if I've tried to show you the
way,
right.
But you're not gonna take this route,
so now it's
but how is that different from what you just said? It's like I can teach you how to incorporate your business yourself, but if you don't want to do it, all right, go give me some money. So I mean, it's basically the same thing, right?
It's the same thing, man. So yeah, that was a little tax about, but like people do kind of get over. I ain't no kind of
it's some that are very predatory,
and it's just
it's a whole saga going on in Memphis right now.
Yeah, the tax game it's a hard one. Like you can still like make you can do 100 returns and you can make $50,000 in 3 months. Like realistically, but
I mean, tax season is very lucrative.
The way to get that now, like you have to work hard to get that now.
Right.
Because the tax clients, like they learning some game too.
As they should. I'm glad
and
they
so
are.
now they know how to rouse the dazzle and get this money, get this. Because now it's really a race to whoever can submit their return to the IRS first. That's who's gonna get credit. Because now a lot of tax people, like they'll go to multiple people to get those advanced loans and things like that. Because like you're really not supposed to do it.
Right.
And so
Okay.
I done gave you this loan, and then I go to submit your return, and it's rejected.
But you already got my money.
Because this TIN has already been filed, and we like, got it. So that's why they charge those to like recoup on this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like you created that problem in the first place. So I digress. I don't know. We done got to talking about taxes. It is tax season. But what we was talking about generational wealth, group economics, and then we got to talking about. So ending on tax returns, one thing that I'm really trying to stress with people getting these returns is taking $1,000, and this is something I'm gonna focus on this month on the pod. What can we do with $1,000 every year for my return? So whether you get $5,000 on your return, whether you get $10,000, take $1,000 and do something that is going to propel you in this generational wealth, this group economics. So one thing off top, I feel like some life insurance, like $1,000 probably can pay up multiple premiums for a year.
Yeah.
Like get yourself on some on yourself, get your couple on your kid, and boom, boom.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's done. Of course, you can do some type of IRA. You can, invest in your business, whether it's, filing your paperwork or getting some suppliers. So just with your wealth of knowledge, what do you think somebody could take, $1,000 from their return to invest in their future?
Well, you kind of hit on the head. I think one thing that you didn't quite say that I would say is get some formal training or formal education in what interests you. Whether it's real estate or stock market or whatever you want to do or want to learn more about that can make you money. Somebody's selling a course, somebody's selling some kind of, plan to get that. So invest in it. Buy a book, buy a course, something.
I concur.
Yeah.
I'm with that. I guess we're wrapping up. Let me see. We talked about black business. Anything that you want to touch about as far as changing the way we look at black business? How can we really work together? Let me ask you this, because you did hit on something that I think is important. Like my price is my price.
Yeah.
Whatever. Do you think it's possible to still barter?
Yeah.
In 2023.
Yeah.
And like for a person who has what would bartering look like? What would be something of value that could help you in return for your accounting services?
I mean, I have a couple barters in place with my hairdresser. That's important. I look at my hair now, but my hairdresser and my photographer. But we have that relationship in which we can do that. I think that's also important too, is being able to just trust those individuals to value what you're bringing in. Because I do think sometimes when you barter, that they lose their value, right? Because there's not a number attached to that. And I think people value your business based on the number you attach to it. So that's why setting your price is important. Because if you set your price as a bargain service, they're going to treat you like a bargain service. So that's off the topic, but similar. So, but those individuals I trust to know what value they're getting, and I know and respect the value that I'm getting from them, and we mutually agree, and we come back and we revisit it often, like making sure nobody feels slighted or one way or the other. But still, even with those, you have to show up in a way that my other clients show up to. So it means that you have to be available for questions, you have to provide all the paperwork and everything that I need, that I would require from somebody else. You have to show up that way.
Yeah, I think that's dope. Because of course, and that, again, that comes from like having your stuff together. Because if I'm sure your hairdresser has prices. I'm
Yes.
sure your photographer has
Yes.
prices, and so that's already there.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have prices, so now it's like we can cancel something out.
Right.
Like it's really a thing. So I guess the moral of the story is, in order to be able to barter and really work and network with entrepreneurs, like you have to kind of have your stuff together. You gotta have your price. You gotta know what it is that you're offering as far as goods and services. Okay.
But don't come ask me to barter though. I feel.
You know, you can't help it. But
I can't payroll with barter.
You probably can't.
No.
But I do want people to be open to it. Because sure. I tell people like it's very important to know your worth, right? And I can know your worth, and for whatever you're doing. But like if I'm just starting off, like I can't pay you $2,000.
Right.
Because if I do pay you $2,000, I ain't got no money to do nothing else. And like I got this great deal, service, or good, or whatever. Now I'm stuck because I done gave you everything that I have. Really, because your price, and I value what it is that you do. I feel like this is an investment in myself. But it is what it is. I think you really just kind of.
Well, even if you were to go to anybody to put a proposal barter, you need to have a plan of what that is. So you might need to know what that is going to cost you even before then, right? If you're paying with real dollars, you need to know what it costs and know, okay, so can't give you that much money, but what I can give you is worth that much. But you need to be able to articulate what the value you're bringing to them.
So you can come with a PowerPoint.
PowerPoint, some handouts. No, but you know what I'm saying, like just like, okay, this is what I can give you in exchange for this.
Okay. All right.
I did want to throw in, as far as group economics is very important to me. I know that culturally we still have a lot of work to do, but I do think that we're getting to that. Me myself, all my health service providers, all my service providers, I try to go to Black businesses. I go in my entertainment, Black-owned entertainment. I only buy Black luxury handbags, so it's really important to me.
Who is the Black luxury handbag person?
I have all of them. Brandon Blackwood, Telfar, Toten Carey, Anima Iris. I have all. You should see my collection. That's pretty big.
That's what's up. Because I do have I use the example of like Louis Vuitton. I'd be like, don't nobody, like Louis Vuitton don't care if you spend $4,000 on that purse.
They don't.
But you can take that $4,000 and support multiple.
Right, exactly.
Black.
That was always my thing. I said, when I reach a certain, income threshold, I'm going to buy me a Louis, I'm going to go buy me a Chanel. And then I thought about it. I was like, no, I'm going to buy my Brandon Blackwood. I'm going to buy, Nima Iris. I'm going to put it back with my people because it means more to you. I mean, it means more to them, like you just said. And I like showing off my bags. All my friends know, like, look at my new bag I got.
That's what's up. I think that's very important. And now it really needs to wrap up, but want to ask you this real quick. So, as a person who has a podcast, like I listen to a wide variety of other podcasts, sports podcasts, like say business stuff, ratchet stuff, like
no wrong with that.
All type of stuff. And so I stumbled on my girl B Simone.
Okay.
She has a podcast with her best friend, and I was like, B Simone, she funny, whatever. And I listened to it, and it wasn't what I thought it was.
Okay.
It's kind of like on some super Christian, like she's on her spiritual journey with God and everything, and it's dope.
Yeah.
Just didn't expect that. But then when I was thinking, I was like, well, she ain't gave no indication that this wouldn't be her character.
Right,
like she's funny, she's a comedian, but like she wasn't no video girl.
Yeah,
like
this
she
is
was
not too hard to believe.
Yeah, this one I was just like didn't put two and two together, but like now this is cool. And so I was listening to it. I think I went through the drive-thru, so I turned it down. I ordered my food or whatever, and so the music was, podcast was still down, and it was like a live read, like they were doing a commercial, and they was talking about this hair care product, like for black hair, and the curl patterns and this, and We got somebody on the bottom who looked like my son. It has this positive African affirmation proverb and da da da. And so now I'm turning it up because I'm like, okay, black, you know what I'm saying? I need to support this black business,
Absolutely.
you know what I'm saying? Group economics, you know, whatever. So I'm there, I'm turning it up because I ain't caught it was dove curls. And so I'm like, okay. And so then
why they do it?
And then they had another live read, and it was like, you know what I'm saying, support Black History 365. It was like Walmart. And then they had another joint, it was about like Black History, but it was brought to you by like Ford. And I was like, man, like that's a tricky situation to be in, because it's like once you get to that, you know, that plateau where your influence and your voice, somebody will pay you to do live reads and stuff because your influence helps bring that company dollars.
Correct. Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, although we talking about black, like it's not a black owned company, when it wouldn't affect their bottom line, like it wouldn't put money in their pocket, but if they would mention something like these black designers or these black owned businesses, or like just mention on your podcast 1 or 2 times, like the economic impact it can have for your people. But I do understand, like, you trying to get
they
your
got that
bag,
check.
you know what I'm saying? And it's
they
like,
got that Walmart check.
It's like,
yeah, it's definitely a tug, and I get that. And then it's also, as far as like a Walmart for it goes, like, we know that it's such a heightened awareness that we want to, you know, we want to be prideful of our culture. We want to embrace our culture. So they feed into that, right? So it makes it easier to look at a Walmart advertisement or hear about a Walmart Ford advertisement. But at the same time, when Ford can give you $10,000 for an ad spot versus a Brandon Blackwood could possibly, and I'm not going to talk about it because he got money, but you know, say they can only give you $1,000. Yeah. But what are your goals at the end of the day of this podcast? Are you making money, or are you encouraging or embracing the black culture? So it's kind of, I don't know.
I don't know what I'm gonna do when I hit that, because it's actually it's kind of that same thing right now. You know, I'm a big advocate of my city, for Memphis, and so like Memphis is hot right now globally.
Right.
Like it's lifelong Memphians who don't even realize what's going on. Like realize how the world, like it's still a lot of negative stuff going on, but like we are being seen as an equal with some of these larger cities now,
as we should,
on a global respect. And so even with that, even with Memphis and people wanting to embrace like that Memphis heritage, it's kind of like some people are giving them Memphis, but not the whole Memphis. So it's still that kind of. So it's like, yeah, it's Memphis, but I can't.
It's Memphis, like,
yeah, it's Memphis. It's Memphis-ish. It has it's a little sprinkle there, because it's like, okay, it's the business game, you know, and you know you have to protect the bag and all that stuff. And so like I can empathize and I can see both sides of the spectrum, but it's still kind of like, man, like if this is the goal, and one, because somebody got to sacrifice somewhere. Like I ain't trying to count nobody money, but like somebody got to lay it down for somebody to come up.
That's true. But that goes in, what is your goal? What is your mission? What is your alignment? And not everybody's mission is your mission. Where you think that Businessmane could have created this lane for others that look like her and her culture, that might not be her mission, and nothing wrong with that.
And I ain't saying nothing, like I understand.
I'm just using her as an example, but nothing's wrong with that.
If you ever watch this, I don't want you to think I'm coming for you.
But that's her. Just, you know, that might not be aligned with her goal and her business goal. Maybe her business goal is to be as profitable as she can, and there's nothing wrong with that, because she can also do other things that could benefit her culture if she chooses to. But I
rock with her business savvy, because like she was like adamant about when she made a certain amount of money, like she was gonna buy this G-Wagon, then she had to sit down and think, like, I got an apartment, I don't even be at home, like why I'm finna spend all this money just because I'm supposed to get a G-Wagon?
It's that mind shift, right? It's like like me and my Louis, I knew I was gonna do I want that? No, I don't want it. It's a mind shift. You grow, mature, and things lose value or change in value.
Good conversation.
Great conversation.
Last question.
Yes, sir.
In one word. what would you want your legacy to be?
Perpetual.
Hmm.
I don't want it to stop with just the next generation. I don't want to stop with my son, my nieces, and my nephews. I want it to go on. Beyonce said her great great grandchildren are already rich, and that's how I, not money sense, but they're gonna be rich. Like they're good, cause this is gonna continue on.
Beyonce got balls, man.
She does.
I mean, she had me when she said, "I know I'm a lady, but I'm still the realest nigga in the room." I gave it all to Beyonce. She probably I had already had it all,
Right, but you gave it to me.
But I just went on and gave everything in my pocket that day. When I said, and you're not lying.
No.
And you know, H Town, like she, don't let all this Beyonce get with y'all.
Alright,
You know But anywho, thank you, Miss Ashley Ray CPA. Before we get off, tell the people where they can find you, websites, all that good stuff.
Website www.grffinancials.com. You can email me at client services at grffinancials.com. Phone 901-728-2412. I'm on Instagram, grf_financials, and Facebook, grf financials.
And the address here.
3355 Poplar Avenue, Suite 110. You can drop by, come see me, say hey, bring some money.
For sure. Make sure we have all that. I'm gonna try to have all that on the thing.
Okay. I was like, because I was talking a little fast.
But yeah, but man, appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for agreeing. You did the panel discussion. Now we on the pod.
You know, I'm team Businessmane all the way.
That's what. Hey, I just need
All the
about
way.
30,000 more people to be on team, and like we can make something happen.
Yeah.
I don't even.
Now,
need
when you get up, don't be charging me $20,000 for an ass spot, okay?
No.
Like,
So we can go unlock something. We can ball.
Right.
We can go on ball
Right
right now. But thank y'all. Please follow me, Businessmane 901 on all social media platforms, and by all I mean IG, Facebook, Twitter, that good old TikTok, and YouTube. Also, businessmane.com. You can follow that for events. I got a little blog. Got some other information that's gonna be coming out on that. And that's it.
all right. Thank you.